Fremantle Dockers are in sixth position on the ladder after 7 rounds, 4 wins and 3 losses. And the grand final coach from last year, Lyon, joins us live from Perth. Ross, thanks for your time this evening. We appreciate it. Solid start to the year with a few bumps along the way.
Yeah, certainly. We got off to a flyer against Collingwood, backed it up against Gold Coast. We've been up and down for the last few weeks. So we're building, and we took a bit out of the weekend, but a really massive challenge against Port this coming Saturday.
Ross, do you have to continually change the goalpost, so to speak? I mean, the fact that Main's out of form, Ballantyne's been in and out, Walters will probably be out for the year. Do you have to? Well, you wanted to kick 2 extra goals than you did last year. Yeah. So are you always changing?
Well, that was the headline figure, and we've still got an emphasis on we'd like to score more. For the majority of the early rounds, we've been top 4 and top 5 attack. I think going to last week with the 5th best attack, albeit the competition's struggling with the score a little bit. There's only 2 teams averaging over 100 points. So we feel like we're striking a better balance. So, look, we've got plenty of work to do. We're far from playing our best footy, and sometimes you just got to scrap a win out to get your confidence up, and we thought we did that on the weekend.
Hey Ross, you mentioned Port Adelaide. Us in the media, we talk about Port Adelaide as a genuine premiership contender. I don't know whether you break it down like that or you just look at them as your next opponent, but have you cast your mind across the idea that they might be one of the best sides in the competition right now?
Yeah, undoubtedly they are. You know, they've got some really talented players, and more than that, and we saw that last year, Ken Hinkley's come in and culturally been able to shift them with work ethic and standards, and with his coaching team, and even more, or as important, he's been able to implement a system of style of play. They're very good at rolling up and defending and then releasing on, you know, really on the counterpunch, you know, with a high degree of skill level and high intensity run and decision making. So, yeah, they're a real handful. They play the same way every week. We know what we're going to get, but you got to be bring your work boots and be able to handle what they throw at you. So, yeah, they're clearly last year, you know, a top 6 team, and this year they look like they're shifted up another rung and look like potentially a top 4 team. But there's plenty of games to be run and won yet to see who gets those badges of honour.
Hey Ross, there's no doubt in my mind that the umpires have let the game play a lot more in 2014 and relaxed some of the free kicks. I've enjoyed it from a spectator point of view, but you've had some concerns. You said the saddle's back and you're confused. Are you still worried about where the umpiring's at?
Well, I'm not worried. I just play what's in front of me. I think you'd be naive to suggest to anybody that the game hadn't been let go more, particularly marking contests, chopping the arm, and they were certainly letting the ball try and get free, and that you know, produced, you know, a few more players around the ball. So I just call what I saw. It doesn't worry me. I just and I think since those comments, I think not because of mine, but I think they acknowledge that, you know, that themselves, and there's been some slight adjustments. I think we've seen a few more free kicks for in the back and chopping of the arms. So, look, they've got it. It's the most difficult job in football, umpiring, and with the intensity of the game and player density and all those things. I think they do a wonderful job, and it's something I wouldn't want to do. So, you know, I think it's the first time in 7 years I've made a comment on an umpire, but I thought it was warranted in the context of the commentary going on about the game.
New CEO Gil McLachlan, we know already that he wants to be more consultative, he wants to talk to the coaches. He comes to you and he says, Ross, we want to have more goals scored in the game and we want more entertaining football. How do you respond to that?
Well, I think it's a great aim. Ultimately, we're the entertainment business, and personally, I've got a healthy relation with Gillen, and he's always sat down with me in the past and we've conversed. I'd certainly embrace any collaboration, and ultimately, we like to bring fans through the gates. Up until this year, the scoring averages hadn't changed over 15 to 20 years, basically 95 for and against. So there's been a bit of a decrease last year. It's probably how they're being kicked is a bit different, but really, typically, scoring hasn't changed for a long period of time. So, you know, the game continues to evolve. I think some of the concerns are warranted. There's some sensationalism in that, but yeah, we're sort of custodians of the game, and ultimately, I'm paid to win games of football, but yeah, it's certainly something that's at the forefront of the mind as well, what you've mentioned.
Have you had to change structures within a game this year, Ross? I mean, you talk a lot about, you know, game plan and team rules and structures and things like that. Because of the way the boys have been playing, have you had to change that?
Yeah, look, I think a bit of an outcome of the interchange and a lot of clubs being uncertain. There's a lot more fold-back football, a lot more teams, rather than try and stop it in their front half and be more aggressive, have played more collapse back. We'll protect the scoring space, protect our D50, and you just find on entry there tends to be more numbers sitting there, and we fell into that trap against North Melbourne, and we just kicked it in and we got counterpunched. So what we did on the weekend was just controlled the ball more, maybe a few less entries, and make the opposition defend. So that's been a byproduct of maybe, you know, fatiguing players a little bit more. So. But certainly, yeah, there's been some adjustments from my end. We're all chasing Hawthorn, so we understand, as much as the grand final we had equal entries and more shots, that offensively they're consistently better. So we've tended to sort of keep more structure in front of the ball than we did last year, you know, if you relate it to the Dockers.
Ross, you had a great record at getting players into the club sides you coach and turning them into much better players. Is Colin Sylvia the biggest challenge, and where's he at?
Yeah, I wouldn't say he's the biggest challenge. He certainly had some interruptions and the suspension didn't help. And yeah, he played on the weekend. The 2-week suspension enabled us to punch in some significant kilometres into him to sort of bring his fitness up a little bit. And so we're really looking forward that he'll make a move in the next 2 to 3 weeks and really give us some impetus in relation to the rest of the season. You know, when we look at our first 9 weeks, we played the Gold Coast to a 5-2 and beaten them, and at the end of the 9 weeks we'll have played all the finalists from last year and 4 6-day breaks and travel. So it's been a significant challenge for us, but if we can keep our head above water, we just know that we can build some real momentum from there. So, and we want Colin to be a part of that.
Hey, Ross, and there's also been a lot of discussion about Nick Natanui and where he's at as a player and whether or not he's as influential as what he's been in the past, or if in fact he's that influential when he plays a game of footy. You saw him close up yesterday. Where do you think he's at?
Well, it's always difficult. I'm reluctant to comment on anyone from another club, but certainly he's from, you know, if I just put my spectator's hat on, he's a unique athlete, and when he's at his best, he's a fearsome sight and really an impacting player. I think he's never going to get his 40, but when he's up and about and impacting, he's a powerful weapon for West Coast, and clearly they'll nurture him and bring him on till he's that player again. So all I know is we always plan heavily for him.
Ross, always enjoyable to hear you talk footy. No nonsense and straight down the line. Good luck against Port Adelaide on Saturday and for the rest of the year. We appreciate you joining us tonight.
Thanks, Luke. Thanks, Tim. Thanks, Wayne. Pleasure.
Fremantle coach Ross Lyon, and one of the best in the business, no doubt about that. Great to catch up with Ross, who's up and running and going pretty nicely at the moment.